So this video today is the fourth in the series of roundabouts for learners. First one was going left, second one was going straight, third one was going right. All those principles will apply, but the difference today is we're going to be doing a busy roundabout. I might get to do a couple of them, but they're definitely going to be busy. So we'll get underway and I'll explain some of the basic principles of that. Just one or two extra points really over and above what we've covered so far that will help you to know what to look for and what to do when you're planning to go left, straight or right at a busy roundabout. Now of course the MSM rule applies just the same. Speed, gear and position will apply just the same as we've seen on the first three videos. This is not one of the roundabouts I've got in mind. This isn't all that busy really. It's pretty big and it's usually easy to get through. But the one after will be busy. So the first thing to remember is, if possible, try and keep the car moving. When the roundabout is busy, if the car is moving, you're able to get away a little bit quicker. You don't often get so much time to make a decision about whether you can go or not. So if it's looking busy and you have to go down to first gear, having got first gear, if you can, try and keep it moving, even if it's 1 mile an hour. That way, when the space comes, it's easier to take. You'll move off just that little bit quicker. Another very important point that I think will help to illustrate this, if you think of your steering wheel as a roundabout and also as a clock, the 12 o'clock position is at the top, the 6 o'clock position is at the bottom. Now if you apply that, you lay that down over the roundabout, the 12 o'clock position is the lane on the far side, the 6 o'clock position is the lane you're approaching in. So as you're coming up, you're looking for traffic on the right, because that's always what you've got to give way for. But if there are any cars from the far side, I'm going to go straight at this next roundabout. If there are any cars from the far side and they're between the 12 o'clock and the 2 o'clock position, they're going to stop the traffic on the right, but there's still time for you to go. Mirror. Looking across to the right now, there's one coming round, so I'm going down into first, so there's one behind him and there's queuing traffic on the right. Now there's a lot of cars over there, so I've got no choice to stop. Handbrake. Now's my space. Mirror, mirror, left signal. Now I'm not going to talk today about the mirror signal routine because we've covered that thoroughly. So although I'll be doing it, I won't be saying it. But I will be talking about what I'm looking at. This idea of the cars on the opposite side between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock. What I'm trying to get across is that between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock they're not going to get round to you if you move off. But they are going to stop the traffic on the right, because the traffic on the right of you has got to wait for those. Once those cars on the far side to get round to about 3 o'clock position, which will be the right hand side of your steering wheel if you follow me, then it's a risk to pull out. So you don't want to be pulling out once they're that far around the roundabout. So we're going back up to that busy roundabout. Take a moment or two. Now the first time I did it there were so many cars on the right that it wasn't possible to keep the car moving. It also depends of course on how much vision you have as you come up to the roundabout. If it's very open and clear on the right, let's say there's a field on the right or something like that, and you can see way down the road on the right, it's easier to make the decision to slow earlier. You've got a better chance of keeping it moving. But when you can't see very well to the right on the roundabout, you sometimes have no choice but to stop. I'm going to go right at the end of the road, take me back to that busy roundabout. As I come up to the roundabout in a moment, I'm obviously looking to the right as always. I should be approaching in second, as usual, although I can see queuing cars ahead, which might slow me down to first. But if there's no queues when I get there, I'll be taking second on the approach. So check in the mirror. There is a queue of cars waiting for the roundabout. It's almost certainly going to bring me down to first gear, crossing as well. It's quite common in Birmingham for there to be crossings on every exit of the roundabout. Certainly on some exits. On this particular roundabout there is a crossing on every one of the 4 exits. Sometimes pupils have to come to this roundabout from Roundabouts Green with my local test centre, and they're that busy concentrating on the roundabout itself that they slip up with the crossings. I guess the thinking is traffic's going to be slow at the crossing, so it's a safer the roundabout rather, so it's a safer place to put the crossing. But it does mean motorists have to have their wits about them. So I'm going to go I'm going to go straight on at the roundabout, second exit. So following all the usual procedures that we've talked about, and I'm looking across the right now, and I'm looking across the roundabout as well. Now the far side I can see nothing at the moment. There's one coming round, he's just gone to the side. I'm going straight on here, second exit. It's looking clear on the right, one coming out now, one on the right in the 3 o'clock position, and now's my opportunity. He was in the 3 o'clock position, but he was evidently coming straight down the road I was in, so it was safe to go. Just to clarify what I'm talking about with these 12 o'clocks and 2 o'clocks and 3 o'clocks, if you think of the roundabout as a clock, I have to illustrate it with my steering wheel, but if you think of the roundabout as a clock, the road you're approaching in is 6 o'clock at the bottom, the far side is 12 o'clock, and the road on your right is at the 3 o'clock position. So when traffic from the far side is between 12 and 2, they're going to stop the traffic on your right, and if they haven't got to 3 o'clock, you've got your perfect space there to go. So going back to the roundabout, I said earlier that this particular roundabout that I've been going to the last couple of times is on at least one, probably several actually, of the Roundabouts Green test routes. So if you're one of my pupils or with a Birmingham instructor, you might have to deal with it. There's a good chance you'll have to deal with it, and it can be really busy. And I had a young man a couple of weeks ago, took the turn nicely on the roundabout, overlooked the crossing immediately following and failed for being unaware, I think not braking in time for the pedestrian. So good to keep in your mind, especially in Birmingham. I'm not sure whether it's the same all over the country here, but it's very common in Birmingham for roundabouts to be surrounded with crossings. Sometimes they're zebras, sometimes they're pelicans or puffins, and sometimes they're on every exit. Some roundabouts it's a crossing on one side and a lollipop lady on the other at school time. So I'm going to go right at the junction ahead, take me back to the roundabout. Saturday today, it's getting on for midday, 11:30 or so. So everybody's out of bed now and the traffic is beginning to pick up. It's always quiet on a Saturday morning. Most folks have a lie-in, I guess, but around about 11 o'clock starts to get a bit busier, and it's a good time to be making a video on this particular roundabout, which is always busy, nearly always busy, certainly at these kinds of times of day. So I've got queuing traffic at the top of the hill. There's the crossing as I approach the roundabout. We've got a pelican here. Queuing traffic, which means I'm probably going to have to approach the roundabout in first. It's almost certain. Someone waited at the crossing, so keeping an eye on her, keeping my space in the vehicle in front. And we've got an amber light here. So crossing is just ahead, where the trees in the middle of the road, and just before that we have this, sorry, the roundabout, just before that we have this crossing, which is a puffin. So I'm going to take second. Can't see across the roundabout here, so looking to the right, there is one at 3 o'clock and traffic coming out from the right. Got a white BMW, then a black Fiat, another black one, and a white one. All these white ones signalling left, so it's safe to go. I'll just point out that was my wheels screeching. There's the zebra crossing as we leave the roundabout, which is clear. This area is known as the Radleys. I think maybe the road across the roundabout at the top is called the Radleys. I'm sure that it comes up on at least 2 of the test routes, maybe several more out of Gaddett's Green. So that's information really for my pupils, if you're watching this. Right at the end, go around the square and back to the roundabout. Got a face like a wet weekend, probably had a row with the wife. Nice man for all of that, but he looks miserable. So heading around the square now, going to back up to that busy roundabout at the Radleys. Take us a couple of 3 minutes to get there. I think after that we might go to one right by the test centre, which is another very busy one, probably busier than the Radleys actually, from time to time. Turning right. So heading back up now to the Radleys roundabout. This time I'm proposing to turn right, and there is no traffic queuing before the roundabout. With it being uphill as well, if you'd have to slow right down, it's important to have first. So I'm turning right. I'm going to take second, and it's clear. Particular crossing is the one where one of my pupils failed recently. Just got his head round the roundabout probably and coming round with a sense of relief, and suddenly there was somebody on the crossing and he missed it. So as I I say, just keep that in the back of your mind if you're learning, taking tests around this area. Roundabouts have often got crossings on them. Not always, but often. And sometimes every exit. Mr. Zippy going by here. Reducing speed, approaching a bend, visions. The less you can see really, the more you need to slow down. I said in the earlier video, when you have a bend, check your mirror. You can use the windows on the houses opposite to see if there's anybody coming. It's a very useful little technique, that. I'm taking a left at the next junction. Looks as though I've got one waiting to come in. I need to go carefully here. Go well to the left. Heading back up to the Radley's roundabout. I've got a queue of traffic now. Looking over the tops of all these vehicles, I can see pedestrian crossing at the top of the hill where the bus is, and it's on red at the moment. It's a fairly busy little shopping area, so the crossings get a lot of use. Crossing now is on green. Learner, a couple of cars ahead, I can see through the windows here, approaching the crossing. Two buses on the right. Keep away from those in case somebody decides they're going to overtake. And just past the crossing we're coming again to the roundabout, and I'm planning to go straight on second exit. The bus, I thought somebody might try that. Crossing's clear at the moment, so think about the roundabout now. I've checked the mirror, I'm going straight ahead. I am just about managing in second, but looking across early, it's difficult to see the far side on this one. And it's completely clear there now. And when we come off, we've got to be careful of the zebra crossing. That is clear. So we'll head down now to another one of the roundabouts by the test centre, which can be quite a demanding roundabout at times. It can be very, very busy. Lorries coming around, buses, and it's just 4 or 5 minutes out of the test centre, so if they take you that way, it's early pressure. But if you can deal with that kind of roundabout, you can deal with pretty much anything. So it's just going to take us a couple of minutes to get up there. I've got another roundabout before we get to that. Interestingly, this particular roundabout we're heading up to has got 7 exits. I don't know of another roundabout anywhere in Birmingham that's got 7 exits on it. 6 is 1 or 2, but this has got 7. Nevertheless, it's not particularly busy. It's a big one. And it's not difficult. We're going to go right. It'll be the 6th exit, the last exit on the right. Notice the crossing coming up to the roundabout here. Looking across the right early, no one on the roundabout, no one on the right. Lovely, away we go. Just made for me, that was. Just watching the learner. He's going off now. And as we take the last exit, notice as we come in, zebra crossing. Following the road ahead of the mini roundabout. Obviously we check to the right to be sure it's safe. Fine. Mini roundabouts, of course, you spot by the blue circle with white arrows on it, which is placed right at the roundabout. Another one here, looking to the right. No traffic on the right. We're safe to keep moving. Some instructors like to take their pupils around all the test routes. Some of them just focus on the test routes. Now, that can be useful, but it's not the be all and end all. I like to take my pupils all over the place, places where they've never been before, to see if they've got the wits about them, to see if they know what to do, because for one thing you probably won't be able to cover all the test routes with your instructor. I don't know how many there are, but at some test centres I'm sure there's at least 20. And I don't teach people to pass the test principally, I teach them to drive safely after they pass their test. So I'll take them to places that you perhaps would never go to on your test, but places that are going to stretch your abilities. So this big roundabout's coming up now, busy one, going to go straight ahead, second exit, and we can see across the roundabout here, and looking across there's nothing on the far side. I've checked my mirror, and now I'm looking to the right. There is a van on the far side, but not a problem at all. Looking to the right, got a white car approaching. It looks as though he's coming across the front of me. I've got a learner then who's too slow to be a problem, for me that is. And away we go, taking the next exit. And now I'm going to go left. Reiterate, as you come up to the roundabout, it's always a good practice to look across if you can see the far side, because if there's nothing over there then you can just concentrate on the road on the right. If there is, they're not a problem until they get to 2 o'clock on the roundabout, or 3 o'clock. Time to go with this roundabout. Quite a quiet one, that. They've just built that one the last 12 months or so. The major developments going on around here. So here we come back down to the busy one. I'm going straight on. I've got a postman behind me. He's bored out of his head, leaning on his elbow on his window. Straight ahead, second exit, keeping on the left. Looking to the right. There's a big space, so we're fine. Keeping well on the left when there are 2 lanes entering the roundabout. Signalling to leave, watching Mr. Posty, he's left me. And I'm going to go left again, a crossing, just after the roundabout. Do a right at this one. In fact, I think I'll do a U-turn because it can get me back to that roundabout more quickly. Very end of the road, I'm going to turn right, just by the keep left sign. Completely clear road here, that's a rarity just here. Going left, looking across the roundabout, nothing on the far side, nothing. So making my signal, looking to the right, no problems there. The car now opposite is in 2 o'clock, leaves me loads of time to go. It's a great help to get into the habit of looking over the roundabout. I've done it on the earlier ones. I mentioned it today. Look over the far side of the roundabout as you come in, because if there's nothing there, it makes it so much easier. You're just concentrating on the right. Roundabout we went across earlier, the big one with 7 exits, we're coming back down to now. It just goes to show that a roundabout can be really big, but not much of a challenge really, because there's never a lot of traffic on these. I think the more difficult ones generally for learners are the ones that are quite small and busy, because you don't have so much time to make a decision as you do on the great big ones, but you're not so heavily full of traffic. Following the road ahead of the roundabout, always keeping off the blob on a mini roundabout. No need to signal exiting a mini roundabout if you're going straight, unless you think somebody's going to benefit. Straight ahead of the roundabout again, mini roundabout, so I'm not signalling, it's not necessary. Now I've got the great big 7 exit roundabout. I'm going straight across where the bus is, mirror. Now we've got cars at 3 o'clock, the other one's at 2 o'clock, so there's my chance. Hope you could see that on the camera, understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Again, as I've mentioned, I think on the last video, number 3 for roundabouts, can't trust people's signals. You've got to rely upon their speed position, or be guided by their speed position. Signals can be all over the place with people. I do all sorts of mad stuff. Lots of people like to signal right when they're going straight ahead. Lots of people like to drive left, right and centre without signalling at all. Sadly, people pass their test and highway code goes out the window or in the bin, and then everything, half of it gets forgotten. As long as they can get from A to B without knocking anybody over, some of them don't worry about that either. They think they're great. I've got to confess, you know, I put the highway code as well on the way. After I passed my test, it wasn't until I began to train as an instructor that I realised what a poor driver I was. And I've often believed that a man's driving ability, on the whole, is inversely proportionate to his opinion of it. Those that boast the most about being great drivers, you probably don't want to go with them if you can help it. Good drivers are modest about it. A good driver knows as well that he's going to make mistakes from time to time. We all make them. The better you are, you make less, of course, but we all make them. And it just, you know, I'm sure it's the case that with so many who think they're great, they're actually abysmal. The better drivers don't boast about it. There's some really good drivers on YouTube. One I haven't mentioned in the introductory video I made was James Ward. He's worth a look. They're short videos, but he's blindingly good. He's so good. Advanced training, of course, with James Ward. He teaches ambulance, police and so forth. Chris Gilbert I mentioned, Reg Local. These are all great instructors, great advanced drivers. Top quality, top shelf. Okay, that's it for today. I hope that's been helpful. That's busy roundabouts. That's the 4th video for learners.